I often hear and read a lot of misconceptions about podcasting, ranging from perceptions about what a podcast should be to the ways in which we can monetize a podcast. So in this video, I'm going to tackle the top 5 misconceptions I frequently encounter to help you make a better decision about whether podcasting is right for you. My name's Laura and I help professionals like you level up your communication and media skills so that you can build stronger connections and make a bigger impact in your career or business. When the TESOL Pop podcast launched back in 2018, the original plan was just to have one season consisting of 10 episodes that answered common questions from our trainee teachers. I didn't expect 5 years on that I'd still be podcasting for TESOL Pop and that would be recording season 7. My experience with TESOL Pop demonstrates that a podcast doesn't have to be an ongoing weekly production. It could be a season or it could be a standalone project. Taking time to think about the purpose behind your podcast, your message, the audience you serve, as well as what's sustainable for you is really important in identifying how you want to use podcasting and how much you want to commit to it. The short answer is there's no one size fits all, and neither is there an optimal length of time for a podcast. It really does depend on a few things. To help you determine how long your episode should be, when you're planning and editing your episodes, try and ask yourself, is this providing value to my listeners? So whether your episode is an hour or 10 minutes, listen back and keep this question in mind, and don't be afraid to cut out bits where you feel it's redundant to your audience. The second thing to ask yourself when you're planning and editing an episode is it delivering what you promised your audience? So does it align with the title, the description, and maybe also what you mentioned at the start of the episode? Is there an alignment with what you said you would deliver and the content itself? The third question to bear in mind is, can I replicate this? So it's great if you can build a sense of consistency and rhythm in your podcast episodes so your listeners know what to expect from you. In the case of the TESOL Pop podcast, episodes are 15 minutes or under, and listeners know to expect episodes every other week during a season, and that they can fit the 15 minutes into their coffee break or their commute to work. Publishing and distributing your podcast to different platforms isn't enough if you want people to actually listen to it. You'll need to think of ways in which you tell people about your podcast and keep them up to date about new episodes to encourage them to listen and keep on returning. Marketing can vary from podcast to podcast, but a good place to start is to ask yourself, where does your ideal listener hang out? By pinpointing where your ideal listeners are, you can start to think of ways in which you can advertise there or even collaborate with others to tell people about your podcast and let them know about new episodes. There are many ways in which you can monetize your podcast or use your podcast to support your business. A key thing though to bear in mind here though is that this often takes time and there's no one size fits all, as you really have to work out which option is best for you. A few ways that you can monetize a podcast are, firstly, sponsorship. So this is where a company pays you to advertise their product or service on your podcast. A second option is member subscription. And this is where listeners pay to have access to special episodes or content or certain perks with your podcast. A third option is using it to sell your products or services, whether it's tickets to events or booking you as a public speaker or workshops or books that you may sell. The list really is endless. In the case of TESOL Pop, I've used the podcast to sell tickets to teacher training workshops that I offer. And this has worked really well because I'm offering something my audience needs and they already know and trust me in this field of expertise. As you can see from this video, you don't need a professional studio to capture high quality audio visual content. In fact, it's best when you're starting out to assess what you already have and then build from there. So in podcasting, there are 5 essentials you need to get started. The first thing is a place to publish your podcast. Now, if you already have a website or a space, you could publish there and use that potentially. Otherwise, you could explore other spaces, free or paid, where you could host your podcast. The second thing you need is a device to record on, and this could be a computer, laptop, or even a mobile device, depending on what you prefer and what you currently use. The key thing is to go with what you're comfortable with and to make sure there's enough memory space on that device to record and potentially edit your episodes. Third thing you need is a microphone. Ideally, this should be a plug-in microphone that you can plug into the device you're recording on and maneuver easily so you can position it where it can best capture your voice. The fourth thing you need is a place to record, and a small space that has soft furnishings will give you the best audio quality. As you can see, I'm recording in my home office today. I've got some soft furnishings around to help to absorb the sound, and this works really well. I know other podcasters that record in cupboards and closets for the sound quality, so you can get quite creative in where you record. The fifth thing you need is editing software, and actually some of this can be free depending on what device you use or if you look at what's on the market. So for example, when I started, I was recording on my Apple device, and so I used the GarageBand software to edit episodes, to add music and cut episodes up accordingly, and that worked really well for me. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the latest tips on communication and media skills.